Yesterday game was horrendous, bro. I mean, it was bad. I mean, this one might be one for the ages, bro. I can't even lie. The referees just exposed their hand so bad, bro. I mean, they just didn't care no more. They didn't care. The world was watching how bad the cause was. They didn't care at all. They was going to get their issue off against the Fever no matter what. And I'm here to tell you, that's exactly what went down, bro. I mean, they got their issue off in a major way, bro. I mean, there was countless of times I could literally look at the screen and know that was a foul.
What if I told you the biggest game changer in the WNBA right now isn't a player, it's a referee? That's right. Forget jerseys for a second. It's the person in stripes who just stole the spotlight. For all the wrong reasons, we're talking about a whistle that's become louder than the crowd, and not in a good way. New footage has surfaced, and it's jaw-dropping. Caitlin Clark didn't just get fouled, she got blatantly robbed. This wasn't a missed call. It was a masterclass in how not to officiate a game. And yes, every second of it is caught on camera. We're seeing missed calls, questionable decisions, and moments that have fans and players asking what's really going on out there. This isn't just a bad night at work. It's the kind of controversy that shakes trust in the system. So buckle up. The footage is wild. The backlash is building, and the WNBA has a whistle crisis it can't afford to ignore. Let's break it all down.
So lads, today the referees gave the report on the situation, and it's even worse. It's even worse than I imagined, and it was pretty grim. Like, it was a pretty grim overall, it was a pretty grim overall.
Watching the WNBA and seeing how things are run, seeing how things are done, and after you've seen what it looks like to get it right, and you come in and see something looking really wrong, you're going to call it out. It is what it is. You're going to be critical of players. If they do something shady or classless, you're going to call that out.
And there it is again. The whistle blows. Not for a foul, not for a travel. Just because Caitlin Clark had the audacity to exist on the court, at this point, we're not watching a basketball game. We're watching a bad soap opera. And the referees, they're the overdramatic villains in stripes, from baffling no calls to phantom fouls, and somehow missing a straight-up hit to the face. It's as if the rulebook's been replaced with a script for pure chaos. These officials aren't maintaining control anymore, they're fueling the madness, like whistle-happy gremlins stirring the pot. This isn't officiating. This is disruption in disguise.
I wanted to share with you guys an article that I found that honestly gives us so much insight into the WNBA referees, how they are hired, how much they make, and there's one section that really stood out to me, and they break down essentially why they are making the calls that they make, and they also talk about the influx of new fans flooding to the WNBA. They talk about Caitlin Clark a little bit. This article to me was really telling. It actually came out in January, but it was published by SB Nation, and it's entitled How WNBA Referees Are Scouted, Trained, and Held Accountable.
Fans aren't confused anymore. They're exhausted. This isn't just drama. It feels like sabotage unfolding in real time. And it's not about one or two missed calls. It's about joy being stripped from a league that's supposed to be soaring. People tune in to see talent, grit, and competition, not a whistle-happy improv act where the rules change mid. It's like watching a baking show where the judges shut off the oven, then blame the baker when the cake collapses. And Caitlin Clark, she's left smiling through the chaos, holding together a performance that's being unraveled, not by her mistakes, but by someone else yanking the cord. Her brilliance didn't fade. It was drowned out one bad call at a time.
I mean, you would think with what they say coming into the season, Kathy was made it her business to let them know that, referees is going to be getting assessed for this next season and make sure they're making the right, proper calls. Man, at this point, we need NBA refs all the time, bro. I don't want these YMCA, junior league, high school ass referees, bro. We need real life refs because as of right now, they're costing the Indiana Fever major games that they definitely need to win.
Let's call it like it is. Caitlin Clark doesn't just look tired, she looks drained. And it's not the kind of exhaustion that comes from playing 40 minutes and dropping 30. It's deeper than that. It's the weight of knowing that no matter how hard she fights, even if she drops 60, there's still a whistle coming for simply existing. She's not just playing a game, she's carrying a franchise, elevating a league, and holding up the hopes of an entire generation of women's basketball fans. And somehow, the officials seem more interested in clipping her wings than letting her fly. It's like being asked to lead the orchestra while someone's tying your shoelaces. together before every performance.
You remember how last year started? You remember the lopsided officiating that we got last year? The All-Star break comes around, the Olympic break rolls around, and then what did we hear from Lynn Dunn? Lynn Dunn goes on the Dan Dockage show and she calls out the officiating. She calls out the refereeing. She calls out the WNBA. The lopsidedness that is being shown not in favor of the Indiana Fever. The clear biases when it comes to foul calls. The clear biases when it comes to not calling foul calls. Last year, it took us halfway.
Of course, Caitlin Clark is frustrated. Who wouldn't be? She's one of the best in the game, showing up night after night to put on a clinic. But lately, her biggest obstacle hasn't been defenders, it's the officials. The ones in stripes who somehow miss obvious contact, yet blow the whistle if she so much as changes direction too quickly. At this point, it's not just unfair, it's absurd. It feels like she's trapped in a basketball version of the Twilight Zone, where the laws of logic don't apply and elite play is treated like a violation. The way she's being officiated doesn't feel like human error anymore. It feels like punishment for being too good. And then there's Coach Stephanie White. She didn't just voice her frustration, she embodied it. On the sidelines, she looked less like a coach and more like someone stuck in an endless skit called React to another horrible call. Pacing, yelling, turning red, she was a walking, shouting thermometer, measuring the temperature of injustice. By the time the final whistle blew, it wasn't just the fans calling it out. It was clear to anyone watching the refs weren't even trying to hide the imbalance. It felt less like a basketball game and more like a free-form performance where fairness never made the playlist.
At things a little bit holistically. I think Caitlin Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career, for a couple of reasons. Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA, and all of them said it needs...
There's no polite way to say it. Caitlin Clark is being treated like she broke some invisible rule, not by opponents, but by the very people meant to protect fairness. Her crime? Reviving the spotlight in a league that claimed it wanted exactly that. Well, the WNBA got the spotlight. Now the referees are squinting in it like deer caught in headlights, or maybe vampires who just realized national attention doesn't come with a dimmer switch. They weren't ready for full arenas, slow-mo breakdowns, or millions of fans watching every call like it's a courtroom case. And now, every blown whistle is a viral moment. Every no call, a trending topic. It's a digital microscope, and the officials are cracking under it. Clark goes for a clean, fast break whistle. Time's up. A perfect steal violation. Stands near the paint. That's a tech, apparently. Meanwhile, the other team's tossing elbows like they're auditioning for a wrestling match and getting high fives for it. It's like the referees are writing a script where no matter the play, Caitlin's always the villain. But this isn't fiction. This is professional basketball. And what's happening now isn't just poor officiating, it's a mental grind. A constant uphill battle for someone who's done nothing but raise the level of the game. Still, she keeps showing up game after game. A rookie with the poise of a seasoned vet, carrying a franchise, a fan base, and the full weight of expectation, all while wearing a target the size of the Midwest.
Off by sharing that the officiating in the WNBA became as hot button of an issue as any. Heated debates surrounding the league's physicality dominated the headlines, particularly when Indiana Fever star rookie Caitlin Clark was subject to several intentional fouls. Now, they also brought up Game 5 of the WNBA Finals. We actually made a whole video about that as well because there were some suspect calls at the end of that game, and a lot of people felt like the WNBA Finals were actually...
Every time Caitlin Clark hits the floor and pulls herself back up, it's starting to feel less like resilience and more like routine. And the worst part, half the time, it's literal. She gets knocked down, looks around for a whistle, and all she gets is silence again. Meanwhile, on the sidelines, Coach Stephanie White has become something of a WNBA folk hero. She's no longer just drawing up plays, she's leading the emotional resistance. Equal parts strategist, spokesperson, and sideline warrior, her reactions have become legendary. The death stares, the flying clipboards, the "you've got to be kidding me" body language. If there were an Emmy for outrage in sports, she'd already be polishing the trophy. It's not just showmanship, It's real frustration. In a windstorm, while officials stare off into the void, and instead of celebrating Clark's grit, fans are left scrubbing through replays, frame by frame, just to prove the obvious. She's getting mauled at times. It feels like we're watching basketball in an alternate reality, one where elite talent gets punished and mediocre effort gets the royal treatment. If this is the script, it's broken.
Here, it took us 4 games for Stephanie White to say, I've had enough. It's taken 4 games for Stephanie White to say, you know what? I've had absolute enough. Game 1, okay. Game 2, okay. Game 3, all right. But today was the last straw when it came for Stephanie White. The New York Liberty get to the free throw line 32 times. The Indiana Fever this season have a discrepancy minus 31 when it comes to free throws. That doesn't seem right.
At times, it genuinely felt like the refs were making calls from a hat labeled pure improv. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark and the Fever were taking real hits, elbows, shoves, even full-on body checks, and getting 0 whistles in return. Blatant fouls, ignored obvious contact, play on, a borderline takedown in the paint.